house that breathed secrets. The Peterson family, John, Sarah, and their teenage son, Alex, arrived at Blackwood Manor on a blustery October afternoon. Inherited from a distant relative, the imposing Victorian mansion loomed before them, a Gothic silhouette against the leaden sky. Twisted branches clawed at the peeling paint, and countless shuttered windows seemed to stare down with vacant eyes. An unsettling silence hung heavy in the air, broken only by the mournful cry of a lone crow circling overhead. John, ever the optimist, whistled a cheerful tune as he unloaded the U-Haul. Sarah, however, felt a prickle of unease crawl up her spine. The house exuded a palpable sense of wrongness, a whispered threat that sent chills down her arms. Unease settles in. The first night was a symphony of unsettling sounds. The wind howled like a tormented beast, rattling the ancient windows like skeletal fingers against glass. A low, rhythmic groan seemed to emanate from the very walls, growing in intensity with each passing hour. Sleep, when it finally came, was fractured with nightmares, swirling shadows and disembodied voices whispering chilling warnings. Morning brought little comfort. Objects vanished and reappeared in different locations. Doors creaked open of their own accord, revealing empty rooms and chilling drafts. Alex, usually glued to his phone, became withdrawn and jumpy. He swore he saw a fleeting shadow dart across the darkened hallway, its form dissolving into the shadows like smoke. The whispers begin. As the days turned into weeks, the occurrences became bolder. Unexplained whispers echoed from unseen corners, their intent malevolent, their words indistinct yet filled with a chilling malice. The air grew heavy, thick with the cloying scent of mildew and a faint, metallic tang. Sarah, once a woman of reason, found herself drawn to the attic, a dusty labyrinth of forgotten furniture and cobwebbed memories. In a forgotten corner, tucked away in a dusty trunk, she stumbled upon a leather-bound journal. The diary belonged to Eleanor Blackwood, the enigmatic relative who had left them the house. With trembling hands, Sarah delved into its brittle pages. The faded ink spoke of a woman consumed by grief and a desperate longing to connect with her deceased husband. Eleanor detailed a dark ritual performed within the house walls, a forbidden ceremony meant to breach the veil between the living and the dead. The journal entries grew increasingly frantic, filled with chilling descriptions of grotesque apparitions and unexplained phenomena. Eleanor spoke of whispers that drove men mad, of shadows that choked the life out of their victims. A cold dread filled Sarah as she reached the final entries. Eleanor had awakened a terrifying entity, something far more sinister than a loving husband's spirit. Filled with terror, Sarah learned the ritual was incomplete, and Eleanor had fled the house, leaving her dark legacy behind. The entity awakens. Desperate to share her discovery, Sarah raced downstairs, clutching the diary. John, however, remained skeptical. He dismissed Sarah's fears as a result of stress and overactive imagination. Alex, however, believed her. He, too, felt a constant sense of being watched, of unseen eyes following his every move. As the weeks morphed into months, the house became increasingly aggressive. Shadows writhed on the walls, morphing into grotesque shapes that resembled twisted parodies of humanity. The whispers grew louder, filled with a cacophony of torment and despair. Sleep became a distant memory, replaced by a constant low hum of unease that permeated the house like an oppressive fog. The investigation, determined to unravel the house's secrets, Sarah sought help. She contacted a local historian named Emily Thorne, a woman known for her expertise on the area's dark history. Emily listened intently to Sarah's account, her face etched with concern. She confirmed the chilling rumors surrounding Blackwood Manor, whispers of a vengeful spirit and a forbidden ritual that had gone horribly wrong. Together, Sarah and Emily scoured historical records and dusty archives, piecing together the tragic past of the house. They discovered Eleanor was not alone in her descent into madness. The original owner, a man named Silas Blackwood, had also dabbled in the occult. He perished in a fire that some believed to be an act of self-immolation, a desperate attempt to escape the entity he had unleashed. Armed with this newfound knowledge, Sarah and Emily decided to confront the entity head-on. They spent days scouring the house, searching for clues mentioned in the diary, a hidden room, a specific symbol, anything that could lead them to a way to banish the entity. Every creak of the floorboards, every sigh of the wind, sent shivers down their spines. The ritual room. One evening, amidst the chaotic symphony of the house settling, a floorboard in the library creaked open, revealing a narrow, hidden staircase leading down into the darkness. Hope flared in Sarah's chest. This might be the answer they were looking for. With Emily close behind, Sarah descended the rickety steps, the air growing colder and thicker with each step. The damp smell of mildew intensified, tinged with a metallic tang that caused Sarah's throat to constrict. The passage opened into a small, circular room. The walls were lined with dusty books on arcane subjects and strange symbols scrawled in blood-red paint. In the center of the room, a sigil was etched onto the floor, radiating an unnatural heat. It matched the symbol described in Eleanor's diary, the key to completing the ritual and potentially banishing the entity. A wave of nausea washed over Sarah as she realized the implications. Completing the ritual might not be good either. What if it unleashed something even worse? Fear warred with determination within her. They had to try something. They couldn't just leave the house with a malevolent entity for company. As they studied the intricate symbols, a chilling voice echoed through the room, sending shivers down their spines. "Foolish mortals, you dare disturb my slumber." The voice was a cacophony of whispers, each one dripping with malice. A swirling mass of darkness materialized in the center of the room, taking the shape of a grotesque humanoid figure. Its eyes, burning embers in the gloom, fixated on Sarah and Emily. Sarah felt a primal fear grip her, but Emily, ever the pragmatist, stepped forward. "We know what you are," she declared, her voice surprisingly steady. "We know Eleanor's folly. We are here to end this." The entity laughed, a sound that scraped against their sanity. "End it? You cannot contain me. I am a part of this house, as much as the walls or the floorboards. You only aggravate me." A desperate plan formed in Sarah's mind. "We can help you," she lied, her voice trembling slightly. "We can free you, but we need your cooperation." The entity paused, its swirling form seeming to solidify for a moment. "Free me? How?" "The ritual," Sarah explained, pointing to the sigil on the floor. "It's incomplete. We can finish it together. Then you can finally be at peace." The entity remained silent for an agonizing moment. Then a flicker of something resembling hope flitted across its shadowy form. "Peace? You offer me peace?" "Yes," Sarah lied again, her heart hammering against her ribs. "We can send you on, wherever you belong." With a heavy heart, Sarah followed the instructions gleaned from Eleanor's diary. She gathered the necessary ingredients, herbs stolen from a forgotten cabinet, a tarnished silver chalice found buried beneath the floorboards, and a vial of viscous liquid that emanated an otherworldly stench. Following the intricate steps, she chanted the words from the diary, her voice cracking with anxiety. The room pulsed with an unnatural energy. The symbol on the floor glowed an intense red, and the entity writhed in a frenzy. Emily, ever the researcher, noticed something Sarah had missed. The ritual wasn't meant to banish, it was meant to bind. Sarah felt a cold dread pool in her stomach as the entity shrieked in fury. It wasn't being freed, it was being trapped within the confines of the house, its power tethered to the completed ritual. With a final, ear-splitting wail, the entity dissolved into a black mist that swirled around the room before being sucked into the glowing sigil. Silence descended, heavy and oppressive. The air grew cold, and Sarah felt a suffocating sense of wrongness settle over the room. They had stopped the entity, but at what cost? The aftermath. Exhausted and shaken, Sarah and Emily stumbled out of the hidden chamber. As they ascended the narrow stairs, the floorboards snapped shut behind them with a resounding click. They returned to the library, a heavy silence hanging in the air. John and Alex, alerted by the commotion, awaited their return, their faces etched with worry. Sarah and Emily, unable to speak, simply shook their heads. The entity was gone, but the house felt even more oppressive than before. A chilling draft blew through the room, extinguishing the candles and plunging them into darkness. That night, sleep remained elusive. Every creak, every groan of the house now felt sinister, a reminder of the entity they had trapped within its walls. In the morning, Sarah, unable to bear the oppressive atmosphere any longer, declared they were leaving. John, relieved, readily agreed. Leaving the house proved easier said than done. Their phones displayed no signal, and the car, inexplicably, wouldn't start. Panic clawed at Sarah's throat. Were they trapped? As if sensing their fear, the house seemed to groan, a low, mournful sound that sent shivers down their spines. John, ever the problem solver, tinkered with the car engine while Sarah and Emily huddled inside, trying to formulate a plan. Alex, usually glued to his phone, had become strangely withdrawn. He sat by the window, his gaze fixed on the overgrown grounds outside. Sarah noticed a flicker of fear in his eyes, a fear that wasn't there before. "Did you see something?" she asked, her voice tight with anxiety. Alex flinched, startled from his reverie. "Just crows," he muttered, gesturing towards the window. "There are a lot of them. They seem to be watching us." Sarah peered out the window. Dozens of crows perched on the branches of the ancient oak trees surrounding the house, their black eyes gleaming like malevolent beads. Nightfall arrived, cloaking the house in an inky darkness. The oppressive silence was broken only by the rhythmic tapping of unseen claws against the window panes. Panic simmered within them. They couldn't stay, but leaving seemed impossible. Desperate for help, Emily remembered a local legend mentioned in her research, a hermit named Silas, rumored to live deep within the Blackwood woods bordering the property. Legend claimed Silas possessed a deep knowledge of the house and the dark secrets it held. Driven by desperation, they decided to seek out this hermit. The next morning, armed with flashlights and a growing sense of dread, Sarah, Emily, and John ventured into the dense woods. The air hung heavy, the silence broken only by the rustling of unseen creatures and the snap of twigs under their feet. The forest seemed to twist and turn around them, disorienting and unnerving. After hours of searching, they stumbled upon a ramshackle hut nestled deep within the woods. A weathered old man with a long, tangled beard answered their knock. This was Silas, his eyes as dark and mysterious as the forest itself. Sarah, her voice trembling, explained their predicament and the entity trapped within the house. Silas listened intently, a knowing glint in his eyes. "You shouldn't have messed with what you don't understand," he rasped, his voice like dry leaves rustling in the wind. "The house has always been a prison, not just for the entity, but for something darker, something far more ancient." He revealed a chilling truth. The entity was merely a guardian, trapped within the house to keep a more powerful evil at bay. Completing the ritual had not only weakened the entity but also disturbed the ancient barrier it maintained. A new threat, a wave of despair washed over Sarah. They had unleashed something far worse. Silas, however, offered a glimmer of hope. He spoke of a hidden chamber within the house, a chamber containing a powerful artifact, a talisman capable of repelling the ancient evil. He provided a cryptic map etched on a scrap of parchment, his instructions vague and ominous. With a heavy heart, the group returned to the house, the weight of their actions hanging heavy on their shoulders. Back inside, the oppressive atmosphere was even more pronounced. The air crackled with a malevolent energy, and unseen things seemed to stir in the shadows. Determined to rectify their mistake, they set about searching for the hidden chamber. Days turned into weeks as they scoured the house, following the cryptic clues. They discovered hidden passages, dusty attics, and forgotten rooms. Alex, fueled by a newfound determination to escape the house's suffocating grip, proved surprisingly resourceful. His keen eye and youthful agility made him invaluable in their search. The hidden chamber, finally, guided by the faded markings on the map, they discovered a hidden door disguised as a bookshelf panel in the library. Behind the door lay a narrow, winding staircase descending deep into the bowels of the house. With a sense of trepidation, they ventured down, the air growing colder and thicker with each step. The passage opened into a large, circular chamber illuminated by a single, flickering torch. The walls were adorned with strange symbols and murals depicting horrifying creatures. In the center of the room, a stone pedestal held an ornately carved silver box, the talisman Silas mentioned. As they approached the pedestal, the air grew thick with a suffocating darkness. A rasping voice echoed through the chamber, a voice that sent chills down their spines and turned their blood to ice. "Foolish mortals," it hissed. "You have released me." A swirling mass of shadows materialized in the center of the room, taking the form of a monstrous creature with glowing red eyes and razor-sharp claws. It was far more terrifying than the entity they had previously trapped. Sarah felt a primal fear grip her, but Emily, ever resourceful, lunged for the silver box. As she grasped the talisman, a surge of energy coursed through the room, the symbols on the walls glowing in intense white. The monstrous creature shrieked, its form writhing in agony. The air crackled with unseen power. Alex, fueled by a sudden surge of bravery, grabbed a dusty ceremonial dagger from a nearby alcove. With a desperate cry, he lunged at the creature, plunging the dagger into its inky heart. A deafening roar filled the chamber, followed by an ear-splitting crash as the creature dissolved into a swarm of black smoke. The smoke swirled towards the talisman in Emily's hand, as if drawn by an invisible force. With a final, chilling gurgle, the smoke was sucked into the silver box, and a blinding light engulfed the room. When the light subsided, they were left blinking in the dim glow of the torch. The air felt lighter, the oppressive darkness gone. Exhausted and emotionally drained, they stumbled back up the hidden staircase. The house, though still bearing the weight of its past, felt strangely peaceful. As they emerged into the library, they realized the crows that had been circling the house for days were gone. Leaving the house proved easier this time. The car started with a single turn of the key, and their phones miraculously picked up a signal. As they drove away, Blackwood Manor receded into the distance, a dark silhouette against the setting sun. They were free, but the scars of their encounter lingered. The house had taken a piece of them, a piece replaced by a chilling knowledge of the darkness that lurked beneath the surface of the world. The twist. Weeks later, back in the safety of their own home, Sarah unpacked a box containing the remaining belongings from Blackwood Manor. Among the dusty trinkets and faded photographs, her eyes caught something glinting at the bottom, a small, tarnished mirror. Curiosity piqued. She picked it up. As she gazed into its reflective surface, a flicker of movement caught her eye. In the depths of the mirror, a faint image materialized, a woman with a knowing smile, her eyes gleaming with an unsettling familiarity. It was Eleanor Blackwood. A chilling voice whispered from the mirror, barely audible, "Foolish girl, you've merely released me." Sarah dropped the mirror in horror. It shattered on the floor, but the image of Eleanor remained etched in her mind, a chilling reminder that the house held more secrets than they had ever realized. The darkness might have been contained, but a new, more insidious threat had been awakened. The ending. Sarah left grappling with this horrifying realization. The house may be gone from sight, but its secrets and its darkness now cling to her, a constant reminder of the malevolent forces she unwittingly unleashed.